Hi friends, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Monday. I hope that you are doing well. All right, I have a little confession about my Monday videos. I don't always have great ideas for these videos until the very last minute. And today was no exception. And here we are, well and far beyond the last minute. And I'm still not sure this is a great video, but we're going to go with it. I hope that you get a little bit of value out of this. I thought that I would go over the progress that I'm making on some of my New Year's goals or resolutions, whatever we want to call them. Today is February 3rd, so approximately a month ago, I did a video talking about all of the things that I want to focus on and or accomplish in 2025, primarily related to business stuff, but also some personal goals. And I talked about the process I was going to use for this. So, number one, I have a lot of things I want to focus on, and I can get very sort of unfocused or distracted by that. It's kind of too many things, right? So, my first step was I wrote down everything that I wanted to focus on. And then I decided I was going to kind of journal about each one of these individual things. Now, that sounds silly, maybe like, why are you journaling about what you want to get done? Part of the reason is that some of the stuff is overwhelming and I find that I try to focus on it and then it just gets too like I don't know, I can't think of the right word. It's not complicated. Overwhelming isn't quite it, but it's like too much like I don't know and I just walk away out of frustration and I don't really deal with it. So I thought that if I sat down and journaled about each individual thing, it would help me sort of clarify it. Like, what is standing in the way of me getting this done? Where do I feel a point of frustration? What is it that I can do about that? Are there different ways that I can break this down to work on it a little bit more easily? And some of the things were super easy to write out a plan for. Other things were not. And I did what I'd normally do. And I wrote like halfway to through the plan until I got frustrated or couldn't figure out what the next step was. And I was like, I'll do this later. Right. And that's kind of okay. It's not terrible. It's not ideal and it's not finished in my head. I did go through and I have like my little list here. And some of this stuff is super easy. Some of it is more complicated. Some of these things are just written as a single line item, but may in and of themselves be multiple sort of projects once I actually break it down. While I definitely have not gone through and even written a journal entry about half of this stuff, right? I have actually been making some progress on it. So the whole like grand scheme that I had thought out for myself of like, I'm going to journal all this and I'll write out a plan for each and every one, that hasn't happened. However, just the fact that I've written all this stuff out and they're all sort of in my mind, um, it made it a little bit more concrete. And I have been focusing on some of these things, even if it's in a less concrete way. So, for example, one of the things I wrote down was my hoard of glassware that I got from a giant hoarder house. I have like 3 totes of glassware, dishes, cups, mugs, all that. And I wrote out a little plan for myself. Now, I didn't execute that plan, but I have still gone back and focused on those glasses. I've been listing them more, I've been selling them, which is fantastic, and getting them out of my house. And so, sort of, what I've been doing is each time I sell one or two or a set of four or something like that, I go back and like scrounge a couple more up and list those instead. Um, I've been picking out the onesie twosie pieces because there are other things that I might want to like lump together or do sort of a sell similar when I list them. And I haven't worked through all of that yet. So I've just kind of been picking stuff that's convenient, but I've been doing little bits and pieces of it. Something else on here is my stash of nylons. You may remember I picked up a several hundred pairs of nylons at an estate sale. I immediately out of the gate listed a few and they did really well. And then I have not listed any more of them because I don't really like the process of listing them. I like how much they sell for. I find it fascinating to like learn about all the terminology and the little weird characteristics of all the nylons, but I don't like photographing them. I don't like the process of checking all of them to see like some of them don't have sizes on them. So it's a lot of handling these like very fine things that I'm trying to keep very flat and smooth and nice and it's not great. I don't like it, but I do have to work on that some more. Have barely touched it at all since the beginning of the year. I also kind of talked about some of my inventory reconciliation, which I have not done. but that's a project I want to do in conjunction with cross posting. So my inventory is all in totes. I have to basically go through and make sure that everything that's in my totes is actually listed somewhere online. eBay likes to pull listings down every now and then. Maybe, somebody will have returned something and I'll forget to relist it. So I basically like to make sure that what's in the boxes is also what's listed online. And now that I'm cross posting things, it's a little bit more complicated. Some things are cross posted, some things are not. I do all of that through Vendu. So Vendu is kind of the central location where I can track all of that. And while I haven't gone through and done like a major, it's going to be a major thing. And I'm just avoiding it because I know that in order for me to feel like I got it all done, I do all this like, I like double check myself a lot. I have all these little checks and balances that I go through. It's very tedious and probably over the top, but because I can lose focus so easily, because I can so easily say, wait, oh wait, did I check this one already? I'm not sure. And then I have to go back and do it again. Like I have a whole process that I go through in order to make sure that all happens properly. So I feel like once I start, I have to kind of go through to the end and finish. And I have like 1,400 items. It's a lot. So while I'm doing that, I also want to use that time to delist and relist things, like pull them off of the platforms that they're on and then list them as though they're brand new items again, which Vendu does for me. It's very easy. So I want to do the delist relist, also cross post it if it's not already cross posted. So I have started doing a little bit of that. I noticed like I'll look up something on my Vendu because I'm looking for a particular piece. And then maybe I'll only have 5 things that fit that word, right? That search term. So I'll deal with whatever I have to do for the first one. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me take these 5 and I'll delist and relist them. And then while I'm in here, I'll also cross post. So I'm kind of doing some of that. It's not part of the inventory reconciliation, but that's okay. It'll make it a little bit easier when I actually do get to the reconciliation part. So I've been doing that. Um, there's some other stuff on here that I just have not really dealt with at all. I have some self-care stuff on here and I'm having a hard time with that. By self-care, I mean daily journaling. When I'm in a good place, I journal first thing in the morning. I just sort of write out 2 pages of stuff while I have my coffee, just to kind of help me get my head straight. It helps a lot of the time. Meditation is helpful for me, doing yoga and eating healthy. And I've not really been doing any of those. I've been journaling on occasion, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but this is all stuff that I used to do every single day. And it was really healthy and I felt really good when I was doing all of that. And I want to get back there, but I'm having a hard time. So I think that tomorrow I am going to try to focus on journaling out about that. I know that my sort of hoard is directly related to my not doing the yoga. And it's also related to the journaling. Like first thing in the morning when I wake up, I'm literally staring at like a pile of stuff at the foot of my bed that's just needs to be dealt with. And so the second I wake up, it's smacking me in the face. And I'm just thinking about like, oh yeah, I have to do this. I have to do that. And the to-do list starts running. So I'm going to just sort of journal some of that out. What I might do is give myself maybe the month of February to try and deal with that specific part of the hoard. You guys saw some of it in my hoard video. It's a little pile that I was sitting in front of working on. And I made some nice progress in that video, but also I've like repopulated the hoard by emptying. It's like, like when you clean out your closet, it's like more of a mess before it's better. I'm in that stage a lot. I'm in that stage a lot. Anyway, so I might journal about that tomorrow because I really do want to get sort of the physical self-care stuff under control and on a good routine. I used to be really good at it. I know that I can do it. And it does help that I know how good I felt when I was doing it. That'll help motivate me because I already know that I'm going to see results. It's not like, you know, hoping for results. I know that the results can happen because I've experienced them before. So I may do that. But some of my other stuff, like my repair backlog and my whatnot backstock, I've been dealing with that stuff. I didn't journal about it, make a plan, but it's been in my mind. All of these things are much more present for me because I've written them all down. I do go back and look at this on occasion and try to start journaling something out to kind of help myself. But I'm doing little bits and pieces here and there. And the fact of the matter is, they all kind of contribute to one another. If I'm dealing with my backlog of whatnot items, and if you don't know what that, it just like I'm always buying new stock for whatnot, and I get stuff coming in more quickly than it goes out. And so there's a backlog. And that backlog usually is what gets listed to then Etsy, eBay, etc. Sometimes it gets put back up on whatnot 4 months later because I still have it there. Anyway, I do try and work with that stuff. I've been pulling things to list from there. And every time I pull things from whatnot, I'm not only sort of like managing that backlog, but I'm also getting items listed and I'm filling up the empty holes in my inventory and getting the whatnot backlog hoard under control and smaller, you know. So all of these things contribute to one another. I have also done some other things that, again, I didn't necessarily journal about or make a specific plan for, but because I've been, intending to do all of that and it's in my mind, um, I signed up for the sewing class that I've taken now 3 times. I'm learning some things. I figured out a new editing tool or video making tool to use for YouTube. You guys may have seen that in my Vendu video, which I think like 3 people have watched. I don't blame you. You don't want to watch 2 hours about Vendu. I get it, but it was really good for me to make. It let me figure that software out and figure out how much space my computer does not have to save giant files. Whole separate story. Anyway, so I've been working on all of these things a little bit here and there. And even one of the things on my list was I have stuff in a basement. We live in a 2-family house, and the landlord has a bunch of stuff in the basement, but then also I have a bunch of stuff, and then the second floor tenants have a bunch of stuff. And my stuff, a lot of it is just stuff that I don't need anymore for the most part, like a ton of like cat carriers and stuff from my rescue days. I've got some furniture that I'm just never going to use again. I have some chairs that I pulled out of someone else's garbage in order to sell. And I'm not joking, that's got to be like 7 years ago by now. So I want to deal with all that stuff. And I haven't really dealt with any of that, but I did go down and just pull a couple of small things out of another stash of something that I had down there. So it's all kind of in my mind. And I've been better about going back to all of these things and like taking little bits and pieces to work on here and there. And so I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm like, I'm going to do this whole thing and I'm going to make a separate page for each little projecty thing. And I have like 3 pages in here, like 3 or 4. I did like scrap page, like, I journal it all out and then I write the nice little plan, I just haven't been very on top of the nice little plans and the journaling, but I've been getting some of the stuff done. So I'm really glad that I did this because honestly, if I wasn't going back and looking at this list, I wouldn't even be giving myself much credit for the things that I had done. Like, yeah, the software that I learned for YouTube, that was a big deal. The sewing class, I would probably give myself credit for. But a lot of the working on the glassware, working on the backlog of whatnot and stuff like that, the cross posting, like a lot of that I wouldn't put together as like progress that I'm making. I would just still be focusing on all the stuff that I'm not doing. And so this is helping me a lot. So anyway, I don't know if that helps you, gives you a little bit of perspective or motivation for where you might be in your 2025 goals or resolutions or whatever they are. I'm going to keep at it. Maybe I'll give you another update in, like another month or so. Also, part of my update, I ordered this off of somebody on eBay. This is the manual for my sewing machine because I didn't have a manual. I did look it up online and I had like a PDF of it, but it's just, I like having the paper version. So somebody does this. They like professionally bound a printed copy. They printed it themselves, probably also off of a PDF or something. And they did it in larger font, which is nice. So, because some of us are old, we need reading glasses a lot. So I'm making progress. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I thank you so much for watching it, especially if you got all the way to the end. I always appreciate you watching all of my videos. And I will see you on Wednesday for a haul video, which is going to be way more exciting than this, right? Okay, thanks so much.